The final countdown is on for PlayStation VR 2. It launches next month on February 22nd. There are apparently 30 games, yes, 30, launching with the PlayStation VR 2, but only 23 of them have been announced so far, and today I'm going to show you all of the games currently announced for PlayStation VR 2. First up on the list is obviously Horizon Call of the Mountain. Out of all the games launching on PlayStation VR 2 so far, this one probably has piqued my interest the most. This game takes place in the Horizon universe and is apparently a 6+ hour campaign with lots of different mechanics, and everyone that I know that's tried it really enjoyed the experience. Visually, it looks to be pretty darn stunning with the power of the PlayStation 5 in play, and all the new haptics in both the triggers and in the VR headset being used, as this is kind of like their showcase piece for the launch of PlayStation VR 2. I, for one, am extraordinarily excited for this game because not only does it look visually stunning, I can't wait to jump into a world that is as alive and has as much story to it as the Horizon games. Next up, another brand new game, the Dark Pictures Switchback VR. This looks absolutely terrifying, and with the news coming out recently that they're using the eye tracking in this game so that there's a certain section in the game where there's these statue creepy type things, it seems, or mannequins I think is what they are actually, and when you blink they move. I will not be blinking, let me put it that way. If you want like an on-rails type of horror game, this looks to be the one that will make you mess your pants first on PlayStation VR 2. We're also getting a Hello Neighbor VR game. I've mentioned a lot of these in the past. Some of these are new and some of them are actually ports, but bear with me as there's 23 games to get through. Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue is a brand new Hello Neighbor game coming not just to PlayStation VR 2, but also to other platforms as well. Next up, this game's been around for a while, but 2MD VR Football Unleashed All-Star is a brand new update and version of this game launching for PlayStation VR 2. I had a lot of fun with the game on the Quest as I was playing it. I'm curious to try it on PlayStation VR 2 just to see how the experience compares. Also, After the Fall, excellent game both on PC VR and on Quest 2, is getting a PlayStation VR 2 launch. This one I'm excited for, but I'm not like ultra excited for it because I've played a lot of this both on Quest and PC VR, or at least a fair amount of it. The thing I'm most looking forward to is seeing what it looks like in the new headset and if the haptics are being used, as it is just a port, which is kind of how a lot of these go. So like After the Fall is this one. Next we've got Altair Breaker, which is another game that came on Quest 2 already, and it's a fun game, but not something like I'm dying to play on PlayStation VR 2. One thing I am dying to play though is a newly announced game just the other day, is Gran Turismo 7. I actually had not bought it yet. I just bought it today because it was on sale and it was going to go up in price. I love the idea of playing a Gran Turismo in virtual reality, especially on the PlayStation 5 version. Hopefully this is the full game in VR, not just pieces of it or just races. Now I need to invest in a nice wheel. So if you have a wheel suggestion, put them down in the comments for me, please. Another game I am looking forward to, even though I get terrified, is Resident Evil Village. Now I've heard several people say that Resident Evil Village isn't really like a horror type of game necessarily. Like it doesn't harken back to the roots of Resident Evil. It's more like the more modern ones where it's kind of more action-y than a horror game. So I might be able to actually play through it in that way. We'll have to wait and see, but I am very excited to try it out because apparently it's going to use the haptics and it's just going to look beautiful in virtual reality. I'm also excited for this next one, even though this is a port. This is Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, the Enhanced Edition. I enjoy the game on the Quest, but limited hardware kept the visuals from just being what they could be. And it doesn't have a PC VR version, so I haven't really seen what it looks like really high fidelity. That's why I'm excited to shoot some blasters and see how the locations look on PlayStation VR 2, because I want to see them in a high fidelity, high quality setting, and it just makes me excited to jump back into the game for that. Speaking of jumping back into the game, Moss and Moss Book 2 are the next two. These ones are getting ports to the PlayStation VR 2 as well. Quill is just fantastic, and I can't wait to spend some more time with her as I play through the games again in PlayStation VR 2, as it's going to use things like the eye tracking to enhance the game. Cities VR Enhanced Edition is the next one. Are you sensing a theme here? They all say something like enhanced or updated or something along those lines. That's coming as well. Cosmonious High as well. I only played a very little of this on the Quest 2 just because I didn't have time when it released. So I'm curious to jump in and see how things like the eye tracking and the visuals look on PlayStation VR 2. I love the job simulator games. These just Cosmonious High just didn't hit home like those games did. Fantavision is also coming to the PlayStation VR 2. I'm not sure how this is said. Is it Fantavision 22X or 202X. I'm not sure how exactly that's said. Looks very colorful, very interesting, and I think it'll be fun to play. Not really much to say about this. You're seeing on screen kind of what it is, so I'll just leave it at that. No Man's Sky is also getting a PlayStation VR 2 port, and I still have not played that game in VR, so this might be a good opportunity to check it out, as the visuals are probably going to be pretty darn good. At least I hope so. The game has gotten so many massive updates over the years. After it launched to lackluster reviews, it's just been pounded to death with great new content, so I am excited to jump in. Maybe I'll do some multiplayer with someone like Gamertag VR. Song in the Smoke Rekindled. This game was fun but challenging for me on Quest 2. I'm excited to see what they do with the visuals on this, because the visuals were interesting and they fit well for the Quest 2, so I'm kind of curious to see how they've updated it. I know it's not going to be photorealistic visuals. It's still going to be that kind of cartoony almost style or animated style. It'll still be that, but I'm curious to see what they've done with things like the fire and the smoke and all these different aspects for PlayStation VR 2, and then again, what they've done with the haptics as well. Swordsman VR. This came to App Lab a little while ago, and it's been on PC for a while. It's getting a PlayStation VR 2 release as well. I think it's already out for PlayStation VR. In fact, I know that it is, actually, saying that out loud. I mean, it's pretty fun to play. I'll be curious to see what the visuals look like. But again, like a lot of the games on this list, I'm just not excited to play them on PlayStation VR just based on the fact that I've played them before. I mean, I'll check them out probably, but it's just not like really tickling my fancy, which sounds incredibly odd saying that out loud. The Light Brigade is a brand new game coming. That's a launch title for PlayStation VR 2. I've said it before, it looks interesting. Visuals are very basic, so it's really hard to say how it's going to look in the headset or what's going to be used for the haptics. Some things that I don't like is like with the gun handling. When they grab onto the gun, the hand disappears and just takes over the gun, which I'm not really a fan of when that happens in a game. I'd rather be able to grab the gun and feel like my hand is grabbing it, not my hand has become the gun, which I know is nitpicky, so that just kind of turned me off of this game when I first saw the trailer, but I'll try it as I do almost every VR game just to see how it is. Discronia Chronos Alternate, which I've talked on the channel about before. I played it on Quest. Really fun game. I'm excited to see the visual update for the PlayStation VR 2, but again, like a lot of these, it's just a port. So it's mostly for the people that don't have VR in another way, which if you don't, then you can play it. It's fantastic. I liked the game. It's a lot of fun, but it's probably not going to pull you in if you've already got another VR platform and you had the potential to play it already. The same thing goes kind of with the Tale of Onogoro, which is another anime-based game. Something I did not play, though. I had not played this one, but I did hear some interesting things about it. But again, it's coming to PlayStation VR 2, so if you want to play it and you don't have another platform to play it on, be my guest. This next one, I'm not really sure how to say. Kizuna AI Touch the Beat, maybe? Something like that. I'm not really even sure what this is exactly about, except for it's obviously a rhythm-based game. It's like a Beat Saber-y type of rhythm thing, I think, and it's based around a VTuber, apparently. Apparently, this is one of the most famous VTubers in the world. As a side note, Beat Saber is actually coming to PlayStation VR 2 as well. It's not a launch title, it's just going to be coming, but they are bringing it to PlayStation VR 2, which is good for those that are buying this as their only VR platform. Last on this list is Tentacular, which I've mentioned several times in a lot of different videos. Looks unique and interesting. It's something that I haven't personally played just because it didn't draw me in, but I've heard some funny stories and seen some funny videos of it. Just another game that's a port coming to the platform that will be good for those that don't have other platforms to have already enjoyed the game. It seems like that's kind of a common theme. Out of all the games coming to PlayStation VR 2, I think there's only like 5 or 6 that are exclusive to PlayStation VR 2. And then there's a couple more that are coming at launch that are coming to other platforms. I don't know if it's at the same time or not. And then the rest of them are all just ports from other platforms, which is great to build the library up, but it doesn't like drive me to play them on PlayStation VR 2 unless I find out they're doing something revolutionary. So even though the launch lineup is padded in some senses, there's only like a handful of games that I really am excited to actually really play when they come to PlayStation VR 2. The rest of them I will play, or a lot of them I will, because I want to see the differences and see like the updates to things like Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. But overall, there's really just a handful of games that I'm like really hyped to play. There are 7 more games that are supposed to be announced apparently as coming at launch, because they told us 30 games and only 23 have been announced. So we'll get more information hopefully before that February 22nd launch date. Personally, I want to see something like Astrobot, another one of those games, or maybe like a PlayStation VR Worlds, like a Worlds 2 with different experiences, something like that. Overall, I am really excited personally for PlayStation VR 2 because I really want to try the hardware, see how it works, and play some of these bigger titles like Gran Turismo 7 and Horizon Call of the Mountain. I think I'm more excited for the future of the platform than for the launch. I do have mine pre-ordered though, so I will be playing it as soon as it comes in, hopefully on February 22nd. What do you think though? What of these games look the most interesting to you? Let me know down in the comments if you've pre-ordered your PlayStation VR 2, if you plan to wait for reviews, and what games you're looking forward to playing the most on the platform. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and we will see you next time.